This tutorial shows you how to take your Illustrator design into Photoshop to color it. So I just need to put a few finishing touches on this. So going to my layer 4, I'm going to make some stars. And I want them to look a little hand-drawn. So I'm just going to pull out some of these points. I'm going to do that with the rest of it later, just to show you the technique. Now, how I made these was with the pen tool. You just click and move and get the shape that you want to see. I clicked and dragged. Don't click and drag or else you'll get a curve. Just want to move if you want it to be sharp. If you want it to be like a cloud, then you can click and drag to get a cloud effect. And then you go back to the beginning. That's how you do it. In terms of now copying it over to Photoshop for coloring in, just getting rid of that, that's in the way. The bottom layer needs to be unlocked because we need to take the whole thing over. So anything that's sort of in the way that we don't need anymore, you can just sort of delete. Now I'm going to be selecting with my black arrow the whole thing, going Control C, going to Photoshop, going to Photoshop, and when you've got Control C, you shouldn't have to make a new document. You should just, well, when you create new, it should just be from Clipboard. So Clipboard should come up, and that will be the exact right size. But what we might do instead, if you're doing this, is just make an A3 document on the side view. Go Create, just so you have enough room, and then go Control V. Pixels is fine, and go OK, and then Enter. So if I zoom up, that's my design, and I can start to color it in. So you can see that these were colored in white in Illustrator deliberately, and I can still color them, and then everything else is like a stained glass window without the glass. So you can either create new layers and draw color in underneath it with a paintbrush. I'll show you what I mean. Right, and you can sort of just color in and try and, you make another layer for Santa Claus, and he's colored in a different color. And so you've got these different layers. Or you can use the Magic Wand tool. So if your toolbar looks like this, that's just how you change it. Magic Wand tool. And on the layer of your drawing, you can select the space and either color it in on that layer, paintbrush, or with your paint bucket tool. Or you can add a layer underneath and drag it underneath and color in that layer. Especially if you like to change your mind. And the reason you can't see it is because on my actual layer it's white. So I just had to select that in backspace and do the same thing. Select that, backspace, and now I can do that. If that's all too difficult and you're like, Miss, what are you talking about? Just use the Magic Wand tool for an area like that and use the paint bucket tool to color it in. But you can see there's a problem with that. If you have gaps, like see, I've got a little gap in here. So that's not going to work if I want this to be red and that to be white. Going to need to paint in and 100% hardness. I'm going to have to paint in a bridge in here so it colors in white, and then that colors in red. So that's not using other layers underneath it, that's just coloring on the layer with the lines. There are different consequences of doing that aren't necessarily bad if it's a flat color. You can't really change it. So if I've let's say I've colored in the background of my template with, let's just say, a blue color, and you don't even need the magic wand, you can just click on it and hopefully it won't go into your presence and stuff like that. If you're like, oh, blue, I don't know, maybe I like blue, maybe I don't, you can go to Control U and play around with the color and check it, but you can see it changes all the colors. So you see Santa's hat is changing as well. So you can't do that separately. But Control Z, forever. If the layers are separate, so that I do the blue background on this layer 2 instead, which means get the magic wand on layer 1, swap to layer 2 for coloring. Looks the same, but it's not. When you go to Control U, like, oh, I'm not really sure about blue. I can change the blue without changing everything. They're like, oh, I want the blue to be a bit lighter and a bit more brighter, and it doesn't change the red. So if you have layers, lots of layers, you can color things separately and then edit them separately. That's what I would do, but you just need to do whatever's easiest for you. You don't understand what I'm doing, you need to do whatever you do. So just to explain again, use a magic wand to select the area on your drawing layer. If you need to add to it, you can press Shift. So for example, this present here, hold down Shift, click, 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 click. Go to layer 4 or a layer that I've added, layer 5, choose my color, get my paintbrush. So I've swapped to a different layer, and then with the paintbrush tool or with the paint bucket tool, Control D, and then you do it again. So you have another layer made, you go to layer 1, you get your magic wand tool, you click and hold Shift if you need to. Choose a different color, paintbrush or paint bucket tool, whatever is easiest, Control D. And so, oh, see, I always forget. Sometimes you might forget Control Z. I didn't swap to layer 4. My mistake. That's a layer 4. Control D. So what happens is that you'll have your coloring on separate layers, which means you can change it. You're like, oh, I don't want the present to be gold anymore. Control U. You can change it. You can also put effects. So if I want this blue to have a gradient overlay, double click on the grey. I can go gradient overlay, and there you go. I've got this amazing gradient over the top of it. Or if I don't like that gradient, I can go into this one and then go OK. Change the angle. Then OK. And I haven't changed anything else. I've just changed the background. Or you can put a filter over it. So a pixel for pop art, a pixelation, a color halftone is really good because it creates that effect. It didn't work. It didn't work because I've got an overlay over it. They don't have an overlay. Will it work? Filter, pixelate, color, domain. Pump it up to 25. Yeah, see, so you get this pixelation effect. 25 is probably too big, but it's not doing it everywhere, it's just doing it on one layer. So that's how you copy and paste it over. That's how you can color it in.